Today, we witness a political disaster of epic proportions. Keir Starmer's desperate bid for international relevance has backfired spectacularly. His NATO speech was supposed to be a defining moment. Instead, it became an international humiliation. European leaders laughed, Putin shut him down, and Trump, well, let's just say the cold shoulder has never felt this icy. And now, Labour is in freefall, Starmer's leadership hanging by a thread. What went wrong? And can he survive the backlash? Buckle up, this is breaking news you can't afford to miss.
We're going to do things differently. We're going to tell the truth, even when they are hard truths.
Keir Starmer thought he could use Europe's crisis as his personal lifeboat. But instead of looking like a statesman, he came across as a political opportunist fumbling in the dark. The Labour leader saw NATO as his stage, but before he could even take a bow, the world was rolling its eyes. Reports from inside Brussels confirm, the moment Starmer stepped up, the energy in the room changed. Awkward glances, whispered exchanges, and yes, even stifled laughter. A hot mic even caught one European diplomat muttering, "Does he actually think this will work?" Ouch. Labour's approval ratings were already plummeting, but now they've nosedived. Reform UK is surging ahead, and Starmer's desperate attempts to cling to power have only deepened the crisis. Then came the real catastrophe, Starmer's NATO blunder. Picture this. He boldly suggests sending British troops into Ukraine. Did he consult military experts, diplomats, anyone? No. Instead, he threw Britain's foreign policy into chaos with a reckless statement that sent shockwaves through global politics. And then the moment that sealed his fate, Moscow response. Not just any response, but a direct slapdown from Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, who declared, "This is unacceptable to us," a clear warning that Starmer's plan wasn't just naive, it was dangerous. Russian state media is having a field day, branding Starmer a reckless warmonger. Even military experts back home shaking their heads in disbelief. General Sir Adrian Bradshaw warns that any peacekeeping force would need substantial reinforcements, something Starmer never even considered. Lord Peter Ricketts, a former British diplomat, drops the hammer. "I'm wary of the term peacekeeping. That might mean British soldiers fighting Russians." The message: Starmer just walked Britain into the most dangerous geopolitical minefield of the century. And he did it without a map. As if the NATO humiliation wasn't enough, Starmer is now scrambling to fix his crumbling reputation with none other than Donald Trump. Reports confirm Starmer is planning a high-stakes meeting in Washington, desperate to win Trump's favor. But why? Simple. He's terrified. UK economic forecasts are grim, and Starmer fears Trump's tariffs could shatter what's left of Britain's financial stability. But instead of standing strong for Britain, Starmer is going cap in hand to Trump, pleading for economic mercy. Labour MPs are livid. They see this as nothing short of a betrayal. Headlines are exploding. Starmer's Trump appeasement, comparing him to Neville Chamberlain's infamous pre-World War II blunders. His party is fracturing, the press is eviscerating him, and his credibility is in tatters. And then just when you thought Starmer couldn't sink lower, he does. The Chagos Islands deal. In a shocking move, Starmer is reportedly ready to hand over the Chagos Islands to the United States in a desperate bid to appease Washington. The catch: the Chagosians, the actual people of the islands, weren't even consulted. Human rights groups are outraged. Labour MPs are calling it a colonial-era throwback, and worst of all, the deal doesn't even guarantee protection from US tariffs. Starmer has just traded away British territory for nothing. The opposition is pouncing, calling for an inquiry into what they're dubbing Starmer's great sellout. Even Labour insiders are aghast. This isn't just bad policy, it's political suicide. And then came the moment of truth, Starmer's press conference. If he had any chance of saving face, this was it. It began with the usual platitudes, but the first tough question shattered him. Is the UK becoming Trump's lapdog? Starmer froze, stammered, tried to pivot, but the journalist smelled blood. And then, the Ukraine question. Did you consult anyone before suggesting troop deployment? His face turned red, his voice faltered, and just like that he was exposed. In just 5 minutes, Starmer stumbled 12 times, live, on national television. Twitter exploded, analysts declared it a disaster, and Labour members cringed in collective embarrassment. But then the final bombshell, the economy. A journalist asks, can you comment on reports that investors have bet a record £15 billion against the UK economy since she took office? Silence. Starmer's face drains of colour. He fumbles, tries to pivot. We must consider the global economic context. But it's too late, the journalist presses. Unemployment is rising 4.4% and climbing. Retail job losses in the tens of thousands. The hospitality sector bleeding out. How do you respond? Starmer is sweating. He stammers out something about adapting to new economic realities, but nobody's buying it. The final blow, personal insolvencies in England, and Wales jumped by 12% in January alone. How do you defend your economic strategy? A pause, a deep breath, and then Starmer runs from the podium. A leader of the opposition, fleeing his own press conference. The aftermath, pure carnage. Labour MPs are in a state of panic. Leadership challenge whispers are turning into roars. Donors are pulling out. The press is tearing Starmer apart. Approval ratings, a complete collapse. And the opposition, they're celebrating. So, is this the end for Keir Starmer? Can he possibly recover from the worst political week in recent British history? Or is his downfall inevitable? Let us know what you think in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe because this political thriller is far from over. This has been breaking news where the truth hits hard. Until next time, stay sharp, stay informed, and don't let the spin fool you.
No, I came here to speak to this man, not your security. You have failed me.
Thank you. Okay.
I've been a Labour voter my entire life. You have failed to be the opposition. You have failed to ask whether lockdown was functioning.
Just behind. Can we just
Do you understand?
Shall we go on in?
Thousands of people have died because you have failed to do your job and ask the real questions. Well, I am
turning to the new sentencing guidelines that's been published alongside this statement, which will make a custodial sentence less likely for, and I quote, ethnic minorities, cultural minorities, and faith minority communities. Why is the Justice Secretary enshrining this double standard, this two-tier approach to sentencing? This is an inversion of the rule of law. We on this side of the House believe in equality under the law. Why doesn't she?